So, good morning. Andrea here from Intuitive Ease podcast. I am over the moon to actually introduce you to the gorgeous Shiran Faast, who is a amazing guest speaker. She's actually helps hundreds of companies transform their invisible um, misalignment. So she specializes in alignment for the owner, for the customers and the employees. So a three-pronged approach. She's highly successful in what she does. And we're just going to do a quick little chat and a taster about something very special that she actually manifested herself when she was out of alignment with her business and how that transformed instantly with her health. So, love to hear what you'd love to say, Stuart.
Hey, thank you for having me. And I love what you do as well because it's much needed. And I think it's an integral part in business success is actually being aligned with your true self through all the different dimensions of what you do and how you feel with yourself. And I can share a little bit of my story. I will keep it short, but I had a very, very successful business for many, many years. It was something I truly loved, and I enjoyed the growth of the company. We were doubling our revenue every single year. We had an amazing team. We had great customer base, but I never had a connection to what we did. And I figure out that um, I created an amazing vision and a mission and a movement, but it was not aligned with me. It was aligned with everyone else around me. So in a way, I was everything in my life was surrounding on just the giving to others. And I would say that obviously from every journey, you get a lot to yourself. There is no doubt about that. I can't regret on a second from any of those 10 years. But my business used to be a gardening business, and I really don't like gardening. Like my plants usually dead. And yes, I could spit the knowledge out for all of those years, but it's never been something that I would come back home and I'll also enjoy doing. And for many, many years, I tried to align reasons, like, to find the reasons why I do what I do. So I love cooking, that's related to food. So that's related to gardening. So I'm aligned, right? So I always had these other ways to try and connect to something. But the reality is that it's never been fully aligned with me. And I felt it all the time, but I kept putting excuses because who complain on business that generate millions of dollars, right? Like you gain your freedom, you could go overseas, you can, have all the perks that coming with bigger business. But I realized that I'm not aligned, and there was some stages in the business when it's got a little bit harder that I always questioned again, why am I still here? Why do I still do that? And the answers were always for them, right? Not for me. Mm. And I'm a person that grew up on resilient. So you need to be resilient. You need to stick through it no matter what. And that's drive me to keep doing what I'm doing. And then one day I discovered that my husband lost the passion years ago too. And he was in a similar situation as me. He didn't lose the passion to gardening. He still loves that. But he lost the passion for the business and what became out of it. And it was for a few years. And we realized that if we're actually going to keep going the way we're going, we will end up losing something far more valuable, which is our marriage, our family, things that are way more important than money or a company or anything like that. And what brought me to work with misalignment today and finding that in companies is because I realized that no matter what you build and no matter what strategy you put in place, it can all fall apart in the moment you discover that you're on the wrong train.
Yes, I've been there after doing 7 part-time businesses.
I know. And when we both discovered we are on the wrong train, it was time to just, and it was the hardest thing I've done in my life. Don't get me wrong. Like being in the lunchroom and telling to all of my team that today is the last day was the toughest thing I've done. Like I fired many people in my life. in many jobs I had before, but it's always on an individual level. It's something that you can plan for, you can support them. But when it's in a mass, you get everyone and it's a collective thing. That was really, really hard to do, especially when my employees been like the most amazing people I worked with. Like I absolutely love them. And most of them been with me for, the whole time as well, like, 8 or 10 years of the business. So going back into, and I will connect it to the health in a second, is telling them that it's the last day of work was really, really hard to do. And all the stress before that was it was probably 6 months of a very, very stressful period when you already know you're on the wrong train. And then you make really bad decisions because you know you're on the wrong train and you just want to get off. And then like stress from every direction managed to came to us. And when you're on the wrong train, then everything show you that you should come off. It's like when you sit on the train, you see all the stations, like, is that the right one? Do I need to go down here? No, am I going the next one? Am I going the next one? And the longer you go, the longer it's going to take to come back as well, right? It's going to be harder, take longer. And anyway, a few months before we shut down the company, I always suffered from a lot of pain in my guts and my tummy. I've done millions of tests. They couldn't find anything, nothing. For many years, they just said to me that they don't know where it's come from. And just a little bit before the closure of the company, they discovered I had endometriosis, and that's probably the cause of all of that pain. And then I done an MRI and they said, you need to have a surgery. And I thought in that moment, oh my God, I need to also go through, a surgery, and I need to recover while my company is completely falling apart. And that was another cue for me that said, Shiran, it's time to really get off that train. And now, and that MRI was 1 month before we closed the company, and my surgery was scheduled for like 2 weeks after we closed the company.
Wow.
And I remember that after the surgery, I'm coming out, and the surgeon said to me, I have no idea how I'm going to explain it to you, but there was a lot of scars and nothing to clean out. Now, if anyone doesn't know what endometriosis is, it's basically an autoimmune problem that glue different parts of your internal organs together. And so basically they got into my body and they found only scars.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, MRI doesn't lie, like if in a public system they decided to put me into an urgent surgery of within a month, which usually waiting time can be 12 months, 24 months, there was a reason for that. But when I got in, it was only scars. And for me, that was almost like the proof for me that my body in that month healed itself, because the biggest misalignment and stress that I had in my life disappeared. Like on the day I closed my company, it was just a silent, like radio silent after that. You don't have an email, you don't have the phone ringing, everything is quiet for a few days. And obviously I was busy thinking about all of that experience of closing a company, but at the same time, it was just a big relief. It was a it was a rock bottom experience. I can't discount that, but it was still felt like a relief versus trying to keep pretending and try to keep fighting for something that I don't want to fight for anymore. And I believe, because there is no medical explanation to what happened, so I believe that was my signal that stopping something that doesn't serve you anymore eventually will result in also fixing your body from the inside and not just externally from the outside. And since then, I don't have many pain in my pelvis area anymore. And there is always other health issues that we work on, but it's got me into this belief that if we design our life in a certain way, then we will repair our body as we do that. And I'm still on that journey of repairing my life and my body. But I figure out in the past, like a few months after I closed the company, that there was something in that alignment that I need to keep digging into. There was
Mm.
something magical in there that if I managed to shut down a company that generated more than $30 million for me, why did I stop that? Like, it was way stronger. That misalignment was so strong that I didn't care about the money, the success, the titles. I just wanted to put all of it in the bin in order to do something that is truly aligned with me. And
And
yeah,
how did
so
you know? Sorry, how did you
yeah,
really know? Because look, honestly, if you're making a very successful business, 30 million,
yeah,
that's a heck of a lot of
oh yeah,
money. And a lot of people never even have that in their lifetime. So to make that kind of money, and it's like your dream come true, but something in your heart doesn't feel right,
no,
and it just feels totally out of alignment. And then having to go through the grief of letting that go with your employees and everything. And so how did you know that it was out of alignment? Because like you know how that we can doubt our intuition, we can doubt our higher knowing, we can doubt our body symptoms. We thought, oh no, that's nothing to do with
yeah,
it, and we try to justify. Especially if you want the money, like let's justify it's going to be okay. We're doing okay. We can cope. It's not
yeah,
a big deal. You know how the mind goes there.
yes,
And how did you resolve that? Because that's the game changer. And I want to honor you for your courage. I really do. You are going to
thank
have
you.
so many people and so many business women and coaches and practitioners listening to this to know what is possible. So, yes, how
Yeah.
did you know the difference between your fear of losing the 30 million and your absolute like, hell yes, this is has to be done? How did you
Yeah.
know the difference and how could you trust that?
Yeah, to be honest, it is exactly what you said. It's a fear because when you do have a successful business, then that business mission become embedded in you, right? And you have responsibilities and you don't want to let that go, or that thought of being a failure. And to be honest, when I closed the company, the biggest feeling I needed to deal with was shame. It was a big one. It took me months to get rid of that shame.
Mm,
And what helped me there was to know that if I get rid of the shame, I can actually help so many other people, because there is not many business owners that sharing their failures.
mm,
Many people will share their failure after they had a massive success after that. But I made a decision that I'm going to share the failure when I was still in the failed stage. Like
mm,
not now when I can say, okay, now I have another success. Before that, it was, you know, this is my calling. But going back into your question for how did I know that? Um, it's really hard. I always knew that I was in the wrong business.
mm.
To be honest, that misalignment started from day one before I bought that company. So
Wow.
when I stepped into this business to start with, it was owned by an amazing old retiree. Like he wanted to retire, but no one would buy my
Yes, yes.
business. And my husband wanted to have a business that is gardening business and continue his dad legacy. And I wanted something completely different from day one. I actually had a complete business strategy for this tech company of shoes. Not something I'm ever going to pursue though.
Yes.
And but that was my idea. And I remember getting into that store for the first time, and I got in and then I got out. And I said to my husband, no way. No, I'm not buying this business. And then he said, but look at all the potential. Like it's been here for 10, 20 years and there is so much stuff we can do with it. And then that's what intrigued me. I thought, oh, I love growing businesses. So I would do that. Like, yes, I will do it for a year or two and then we exit. And I knew from day one that there is a misalignment. I stepped in because of the opportunity. And I think that's something that can resonate with a lot of people that own businesses. We step in originally because we saw an opportunity. We saw a gap in the market. We saw something that can make us lots of money.
Yeah.
um,
We've all been there.
I know,
Yeah.
but the reality is that we're not always choosing it because this is the real thing that we need to do in our life. Now, not all the time you know that either, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. It's something that came to me only after I closed my last company. But that moment I knew this business is not for me. So I started with misalignment. But for the first year or two, I was aligned because I had the same exit strategy as my partner. We both knew we're coming here for a year or two, we're doing a flip, and I'm using my new skills and the money from that company to build my new one. That was the original business plan.
Yes.
But when you get into that resilience and responsibility, suddenly you have more employees, suddenly there is more customers, then you commit to a bigger premises, and you just the business was doubling itself every single year. So
Doubling
obviously
itself every
every
single
single
year.
year.
So
Yeah.
can I just emphasize that point?
Yeah.
So what, and this is what, because a lot of people are in business to make money,
Yeah.
they often, the people that I work with, they actually have a soul calling often as well. But
Mm-hmm.
because it was doubling and it was quantum leaping, doubling its income every year, it's successful. So what we tend to do in our mind going, because it's successful, it must be in alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like we kind of logically sort of say it's logical, it ticks us all the boxes, it's making money, so therefore it must be in alignment. And so that's how we justify staying there.
Staying. Yeah.
I mean, was that your experience? Because I've definitely done that.
100%.
I've definitely done that in
100%.
relationships. And as women, many of us have done that, let's be honest.
Yes.
We've done it in relationships, I've done it in business, and I've done it
Yeah.
with health.
100%. And I think our own body and relationships and business, they're all going on the same fundamentals. And that's why I realized that alignment is my calling,
Yes.
because this is what set the foundations right. If it's in a relationship, if it's between co-founders, which is a big problem I need to help to many companies with, it's that are we going in the same direction that our body wants to go, our
Yes.
family wants to go, our partnership wants to go, our customers wants to go. In my upcoming book, I'm actually sharing the story about how Kodak versus Fujifilm, how one failed completely, went into bankruptcy, and the other one didn't. But they both hit the same crisis point in the industry, right?
Mm.
That's a difference between alignment and not alignment. One know exactly what they're doing, what the customer wants, what the employee wants, what the owners want, and the other one have too much this is working, so we keep going. This is exactly the same. It's exactly the same equivalent. So what I found is that in order to have a successful company, even if you are an individual or if you are a company with 100 employees or thousands of employees, it doesn't really matter. The foundations are always the same, and it starts with people. It's starting with self as the owner.
Self. Yeah.
And then it's also starting with the customer alignment to what you do, to the products that you do. Do we need to make a change? Is it still aligned with them? And with the employees, are they here because of the right reasons? Because you can hire the best employees on the paper, but then they leave after 2 weeks, right? And then you have the same one with the same resume and they stay for 10 years. The difference there is only alignment. There is nothing else
Yes.
but alignment.
But how did you, like, what I'm saying is that
Yeah,
you knew you're out of alignment, but you went
I
into it,
knew.
but you're still
No.
successful. See, for me, if I know I'm out of alignment, I go into it, it definitely doesn't work. I don't have that kind of
Yeah,
stamina to keep it up. But you had a very strong mental mindset to actually do that. And I know a lot of people do that.
yeah,
And especially with AI now in business, a lot of people are giving their power away to AI and thinking that AI has all the answers. But AI's only got information. It's not got
yes,
transformation and it doesn't know about
correct.
your alignment. It only knows about the past of other business alignment. So
Correct.
how I'd like to, this is a really interesting thing. How did you actually, how did you really, really come to make that decision? Like, because that is quite a big game changer, and a lot of people are either a business that's not doing well or incredibly successful but still feel unfulfilled.
Yes.
And how did you know that? When was the turning point there? Because that will really help some of the listeners.
Yeah. So just to clarify, what is the turning point of the moment I realized I'm not aligned completely and it's time to stop? Or how did I actually manage to stick with a company for 10 years without alignment?
Both. both,
Okay.
because both of them would help.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll help your listeners, your
Yes.
clients, and my
Correct.
clients, because that's what the trap,
Yes.
that the business trap, that we
Yeah.
start to play the business game, but we've forgotten that we are the CEO of our game,
Yeah.
of our kingdom, of
Yeah.
our life, of
Yeah.
of who we really are.
Yeah.
We've lost ourselves, actually.
Yeah.
We've lost ourselves, our true self,
We
because
do. And I will say that I thought the problem was greater, but there is a lot of people that going in, like they are in business and they are aligned with themselves. And when I see that, I'm so happy because I know that they are on the right track. Their business will never stop in the future. But I will answer the main question with how did I survive for 10 years in a misalignment between me and my business? And I would say that I knew I'm misaligned at all times. I just found reasons to connect. Even in any conversation I had, if it's with suppliers or with customers, and even with employees, I did not enjoy conversations about gardening, even if I could have those conversations for hours. Like I could speak with a horticulturalist on plants, diets, and science for 2 hours. Like my knowledge is up there. But between that and enjoying the conversation, it's not. But if you ask me about the conversations that I'm enjoying, which is the business and the transformation and the growth and the strategy, there was a full alignment in there because the business actually served my true calling, which is transforming companies. And
wow.
that's something that kept me there because the growth is what I wanted. You see, so when your company show you that what you do is the right thing, because from a strategy point of view, it works. It's just that what we do is not what I liked, but how we do it, I did liked.
So that's
But
what kept you in alignment.
correct.
So, but so this is really fine tuning, but it's exceptional for anybody listening. This is gold mine.
Yes.
What Shireen's sharing, gold mine. Pause the video if you need to and just listen again. So she had a misalignment because she didn't like gardening, the product, but
Yeah.
she had alignment because what her passion was transformation,
Correct.
and she was seeing it. So you see, she had misalignment and alignment together. But because the alignment of the transformation was stronger, that actually kept her making money and kept the money coming in.
Correct.
But on a subtle level, your heart and your was affected, like your fulfillment
Correct.
affected.
So
So
that was never
that's
there.
how did you talk about something that you weren't excited about?
I looked at it as a challenge I need to do. Like, right, it's like something I need to learn. And if I want, like, the original goal and the first 2 years when I gained the knowledge, that was when I still had that exit plan in mind, right? I need to grow it to a level that I can make enough money to fund my new venture. So everything to do with that, I'm happy to do it, right? So I will learn and I will have those conversations, and that was okay because the roadmap was short and sharp. I knew exactly where I'm going. I was okay with doing something that I don't know if I like or not, but it wasn't something I loved. Um, so I would say that I had alignment in the beginning in order to gain the knowledge. After that, it became more of a duty. And I was saying more than that, and that's related to why did I make a decision to finally actually say, get off that train, is because I was building the company to the level I wanted to see it, right? So to grow it and to impact as many people. We actually changed an industry as well in that area. But
Yeah.
but it was always my husband's passion. So I felt like I'm doing all of that for him.
Aha.
So I still have my transformation tick, right? So I still have that alignment in that area, but he have the alignment to the passion, so it can work together. Where I decided it's time to leave the trend is when I realized that for a few years he didn't told me that he's misaligned. So when I realized that, I knew from that moment that the only way is to exit as quick as possible, because if we both misalignment and we both need to drive the company, if the passion is not there, and if I only wanted a transformation that I can achieve with any other business, and I'm not in the right business to do that, because I always felt like with what I will actually quote someone because that was for me the aha moment. I was on this end of year party on a massive 3-decker yacht in Sydney of the retail industry. And I remember really pinching myself because everyone around me was these super successful entrepreneurs and CEOs of the retail industry. And one guy came to me. It was someone I always wanted to speak to, but he came to me and he said, we had a chat for like an hour. And then he said, can I ask you a private question? I was like, sure. So you don't look like a gardener. So why the hell are you owning a gardening business? And you see, I've been asked that question at least 100 times before. And my answer would always be, my husband loves gardening. I love business. So it's a perfect, scenario, right? I grow and he makes sure that we are up to date with the knowledge and the
Yes,
industry.
yes.
But what the sentence that came after was the first time someone actually challenged me on that answer. And you know how when we sometimes have an answer that everyone else, this, it's the same answer all the time, right? It's usually when we're hiding something because we have that answer ready to go. Because we know that if we will truly say what we think, our secret will go out. So
Yes.
he said to me, with your skill levels, if you have done something that you're truly passionate about, you will become unstoppable. And
Yes.
that was the first time someone put me a mirror in front of my face and didn't care about the success. He didn't care about what we've done. He just told me that if I've done something else, I would be far more successful. And I thought that's an odd thing to say, right? But I couldn't sleep that night because his voice was in my head. And I realized that I was in the wrong train. That was the moment that I realized I've been pushing it far too long. Like that was for me that moment. And the next day when I shared that with my husband, he's the one that was the moment he shared, I need to tell you a secret. I've been not aligned with this business for 3 years at least. So
Wow.
time to move on.
Wow. So
So,
that
so
that was amazing. See, that's
yeah,
what I find is that sometimes it's a gift. There might be just one person we meet, they might just say one thing, or you're watching a movie and
yeah,
then there's this one line, or you see a banner as you're driving and you're looking for answers because you were looking for answers inside of you.
yeah,
Something didn't feel right. But you were looking for answers, but you didn't quite know the next step. And then because you were open, you see this, hear this question, and it goes right deep inside of you.
yes,
And it's like it's like a light bulb has gone on and you can't deny it anymore.
yeah,
Like it's just like that's what's happened to me when I've had been a wake up call. It's like it's a light bulb and you can't push it down anymore.
yeah,
And that was like a gift from your, I would call it your intuitive true nature calling you home,
yeah,
calling you back to your unique gifts and your unique passions, and where your mind, your heart, and your body is totally there.
yeah,
And so I felt like it was an invitation from
yeah,
your true nature.
yeah,
You remember, know thyself. It's actually know thy true self. That's actually what it means. Know thy
yeah,
true self, not the conditioned self or not the business self, but the
yes,
true self was calling you.
yeah,
Shran, are you really doing what you want to do, what you love?
yeah,
That's what was happening, right?
100%.
And I just love that. And what is interesting, because a lot of women um, are doing businesses with their partner, or they've got a collaboration or whatever. And so he had the alignment with the gardening and you had the alignment with the transformation. So that was really good. But what was the learning from that was, if you guys had had regular CEO meetings, once a month or twice a year to update on your vision, then you might have found out earlier rather than 3 years later.
Correct. But I will say that obviously, in order to grow a 7-figure business, you do have those meetings, you do have the C-suite, you do have the planning sessions. We both signed off on all strategies, right? So on surface, you are aligned.
Right.
And that's something I see with many, many, many companies. And that's one of the reasons why I like to work with multiple co-founders more than just the one, because it's a lot more harder to get into that alignment. And it's interesting, but most companies that end up closing. And that's actually quite a staggering data. So it's around 70% of companies that open eventually closed
Mm.
within the first 10 years. And the main reason for that is, again, misalignment, because we both signed the documents, we signed the plans, like we have a 12 months business plan, 5 months, 10 years, every single one of them being signed off by us and by the operation team. But there is, and that's what I teach today, there is another level that need to come before the business strategy, because as a business owner, and especially these days when you have so many different tools available to make your life a little bit easy, or there is so many gurus out there that teach you how to do certain things, like for example, do better ads, make these online courses. There is so many of them that flooding your brain, and you can see the opportunities in each one of them, especially if you're a visionary person.
Yes.
And we tend to go with that, and we choose a lot of the time what we want to do with intuition, which is great. But what I discovered is that if we put the alignment piece before, so I say alignment before strategy. So you do the strategy after you aligned, because when you align on the strategy, you align on the numbers, on the metrics, on the physical stuff, on the projects. You're not aligned on your exit plan sometimes, or on the type of freedom you need in this year. We are humans and we have different needs during the year or during the next 5 years. It's very depends. And there is freedom is defined by 3 different metrics for me. One is the ability to have more time, ability to have more money, or the freedom of the creativity and what we do every day, right? And each one of them reflect differently on how you need to set your strategy. So if I want to have 5 new projects coming up and make R&D, I don't know, like another 3 more products that are brand new that need development and a lot more of my creative time in, then that means that I probably cannot take holidays that year, right? Like I need to be a bit more hands-on. So this need to be determined a lot before you determine your strategy.
Yes, no, I love that.
Yeah,
And what I'd love to talk about a little bit is about feminine alignment as
yeah,
well, because this is what I learned from my mother, and I don't know if that means because my parents had 5 businesses when I was growing up. Mum and dad had a fish and chip shop when they got married because they had to go into debt to get married. But you had all these people at their wedding, and that they didn't really know, but it was part of the culture.
yeah,
And so mum's pregnant with me, takes 2 weeks off to have me, so there's no time to play or celebrate the child. And and so I learned that you just get on with it and be practical. But what happens on a body level, if us men thrive with more testosterone, their health thrives with 10 times more testosterone, and it actually reduces their stress if they're
mm-hmm,
actually doing action,
yeah,
testosterone using their action energy, fixing a problem.
mm-hmm,
With women, we thrive more on estrogen, we thrive more on nourishment, relationships, children, family, connections. And so, what tends to happen, this is what happened to me, is I started to become more testosterone driven because I was a single woman. I had to look after myself, I had to run these businesses. And that actually affected my health, my body.
mm-hmm.
And it feels like that must what might have happened to you because it was affecting your feminine energy, your feminine health, even though you weren't possibly aware of it.
Yeah.
Um, and so have you noticed that females we actually need to work differently in business than men do? Because when women try to be all figures driven, action driven, and all this, somehow they may be successful or they may reach a certain pinnacle of, money
Yeah.
and whatever, but something feels lacking inside, or they get major health issues, uh, especially female health issues. Have
Yeah.
you found that, or what's your thoughts on that with the
Um, I would say that it's and I'm happy to share a personal experience with both of my kids' birth, because they have both been in different okay, I'll explain it differently. So, and I will use the example of the kids. because I think that it's way beyond just the hormones. I agree with you that, and it's obviously I'm not a doctor and I don't know much about hormones, but I can say from my experience, it's the hormones and the way that the female body is actually behaving, and a lot of the time we try to mask it in order to achieve certain things and certain goals that we put for ourselves. Like I will definitely take a fair bit of Panadol in my period, in my period times to function. But these days I honor my body a bit more, and I will do more low key activities during those days versus pushing and pushing to achieve my goals
Yeah, yeah.
in those times. Yeah. But with my first child, my business was still quite small. It was the second year of our business. And when she was born, I decided to take a bit of time off and I tried to work a bit from home. That did not work well. That was before Zoom and everything. So I needed to, it was a lot more complicated to work remotely. And I found myself for 6 months, because I wanted to be with my daughter, I was so disconnected from my own company that I was scared to go back.
Mm.
So I needed to change all of the business strategy for the future to open a second location so I can start new again, because I was so scared to go back to where I was. So I think it's a bit more complicated than just um, the honoring our body and having a proper time off after birth or during periods and so on. But with my second child, I took 3 days off and I went back to the office with him because I was scared that I will have the same I guess post natal depression that I had with my first daughter. So I would not have that scarcity of going back to work. So 3 days, and he was with us in the office. And in a way, I really liked it because my husband could be with him too. And it felt like we're both working around our child. So I think it's very depends on what is your goals, but also listening to your body. Back in the day, I wasn't listening. Like I would just deliver a baby, come back to work, right?
Yeah.
and with my first one, I think I stayed mainly because I couldn't find a daycare. I think that was the trigger of actually staying at home, because my original thought was I just want to go back. So I think bottom line is that yes, you definitely need to be in tune with your body, but don't forget about the goals that you have, because sometimes when we forget about what we want to achieve, you ended up after a few years of staying at home mom and you're like, oh, but I also wanted this. And I can say from my mom, um, I always saw her as an example of someone that doesn't achieve their goals because it was all about the kids, which I appreciate as a child, but at the same time, I was looking at it as a weakness versus a strength. Today, I'm more balanced. So, but again, you learn it through your life that you need to listen to your body first. And if you're too tired or if you're too sore because you're in period or you just had a baby, you need to honor your body and rest a bit. And I think it's something that we need to start with. Listen to your body first, but then don't forget about your goals because they're equally as important for your mental health, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes. And how did you balance that?
What? The
Listening to because listening to your body, but also keeping your goals as
mental.
well.
Um, I realize with myself that I'm big on rituals because I have ADHD as well. So I need to have a very strict calendar and, having my goals very organized. Otherwise, I will just be achieving nothing.
Yes.
So I found out that I need a few things to add into my life in order to listen to my body and be in tune with myself. So, and I will share those few things with me. So, something I do daily is I ask myself a question every single night. Will I do the same thing again tomorrow? This for me is what will tell me the first sign of misalignment. Because I was bent on alignment, I just ask myself, will I do the same thing I've done today, tomorrow? If the answer is no, or if I hesitate, the next day I will sit down, I will write what I've done and decide what I didn't like. Can I delegate it to someone else? Can I not do it? Can I stop doing that? And there is lots of things that it's better, if you know a misalignment really quickly, then you can train other people to take over. You don't need to just quit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like what I've done with my company. You don't need to just stop. You can actually you have a bit more time before you get burnt out. because you just discovered it. So that's the one question I ask myself every night. The second thing I do is every 3 months, I will take a weekend only for myself.
Yes.
So even if I don't have the ability to go for a holiday, I will still take those times for myself. So I will go to the beach, or I will go to my safe zones or nature, and I will just reset. Like I look at my values again. I looked at everything I do, if I still like it or not. And I just sometimes just enjoy. And I found that when you have those times, like I do it every quarter for myself, but if I have that time of downtime just with me, without the responsibilities, without the phone calls, without the kids, without I run two non-for-profits too. So without all of that, if I just time for myself, I get the ability to see if I'm in the right track and listen to my internal body as well.
Mm.
And some days, that's my third one. And yesterday was a big example for that. I woke up in the morning after a massive weekend. I had a speaking tournament. I was running an event in the Brisbane CBD with 2,000 people that day. And I was like, it was just a busy weekend. I didn't have a second to stop. And this week for me is huge too. So I thought, if I'm not going tomorrow morning after I drop the kids for 20 minutes, even just having a dip in the sea, and then come back to my day, I will be a complete disaster by the end of this week. So when you learn how to listen to your body, I just moved a few things I had. I drove half an hour, done a deep, half an hour just in the sea, relaxing and coming back. And now I have all that energy to tackle this week. So
Mm.
I learned that when my body single me, it's funny how you feel it in the body too. It's suddenly this back pain or
Yes,
a bit of a sore throat. Your body tell you, hey, take my husband call it a chill pill.
a
Take a
chill
chill
pill.
pill,
I love that.
which
A
is not a
chill
physical, it's not a physical medication, right? It's just the
pill.
cue of, you need a chill pill. It's like you
Oh, I
need to
love
just
that.
have a quick reset.
Can I borrow that, please?
Go for it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no,
So
I love
yes,
that. Thank you for sharing that. That's a
that's
real
the things I
goal
do.
for a lot of women. And the thing is that because it's often women put the partner first or their children first or everything else and they're last. And with doing that, it just leads to disaster long term. Like that's the most unsustainable thing one can do, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you're not your own connected to your own, you're not a tree yourself and connected to your own roots, well then you can't actually you become a strangler fig. Someone else becomes a strangler fig to you of
Yes.
your energy.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And is there any last things that you would love to share?
Yes. One more thing. I think that I believe, and the data also show that business owners are suffering from a lot of mental health issues. I know I experienced that myself during different periods of life, not necessarily a defined a mental health issue, but we're dealing with a lot of things and a lot of stress that is not easy to cope with a lot of the time. So I just wanted to share that, first of all, with my book is launching in 2 weeks, but 10% of the profit, I know it's a big thing, 10% of the profit of that book going to Beyond Blue as a donation,
Yes.
because they have an amazing program for business owners. So if you own a business, you can actually get a mental health coach completely for free, and they help you go through a lot of the just digesting sometimes, just download that all of the different stress you have in life to someone else to help you cope with it. It's such an amazing initiative that I personally didn't know about it as a business owner. And that's why I decided that with this business, I want to make sure that every single business owner know that these programs are exist. So I would love you to reach out to Beyond Blue if you need to. And it's not just for when you need to help your friends or family, it's actually for yourself as well.
Definitely. And I actually, there's a few times in my life when, as a single woman, and I didn't have anyone to rely on or I could discuss. And I had friends, but they were often non-business owners. They were in government jobs or teaching jobs. I didn't understand anything about that, what it's like to be self-employed. It's another world.
Yeah.
Uh, and I just needed someone to talk to. And so I rang them a few times. I was so grateful for their free coaching, counseling support. And I just did a flash dance recently to raise funds for Beyond Blue. We're doing a bit
Ah,
of groovy dancing in the
you
Gold
see,
Coast
we are
shopping
even
mall.
aligned in there.
Oh, because I love dancing. So we were doing a bit of dancing, and I
Yeah.
could feel my mind going, look, you're supposed to turn up the rehearsals. You didn't make one of the rehearsals because I'd come back from a natural therapy conference and I didn't have the energy to go for another rehearsal. You haven't got it perfect. You shouldn't go. I thought, no, that's not what Beyond Blue is about. It's about showing up regardless if you're perfect or not.
I
That's
agree.
it. And I am showing up. I may not be doing the perfect moves in the dance. I may not have them in sync and, I might even embarrass myself, but I'm there with the intention to support this amazing charity and to remind people they're not alone. They are not alone.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
I'm on the same mission as well, and that's why I decided to choose them for
yes.
partnership for my book. Yeah.
Well, did you know apparently in America, there's one person every 11 minutes committing suicide,
In Australia, it's nine.
every 9 minutes.
No, nine people every minute. Nine people every day.
Nine
That's the
people
data.
every
Nine
day.
people every day committing
So
suicide.
this is why, please, if you know somebody that needs to hear this podcast interview, it needs to hear Shiran speak, and they're not feeling quite right or not quite misaligned or something's not flowing for them, please, or they've had endometriosis, please share this so they can know that they're not alone and that we can together unite and help bring a more peaceful, collaborative, abundant world for everyone that, you know, it's possible. Before I
Everything is
forget,
possible.
um, if you, because I might forget otherwise, if you really would love to um, unite more in community, I've just joined up with a free customer loyalty program. It's just launched in November, just recently, last weekend. And it's amazing. And you only pay when you make a sale. So it's like a gold mine, and it's got all the big stores on it as well, like Woolworths, Coles, David
Mhm.
Jones, all that. So we can create a community of us business women coming together and cross-referring to each other and really supporting people to not feel alone. This is so important. And that's a perfect
It
note
is.
to end on.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, amazing Shiran, and for
Thank you.
coming on today, sharing your gold nuggets of wisdom. It's going to help so many people. And I just absolutely love your energy and so proud of the work you're doing in this world. And stay tuned because her new book is coming out soon. So I'll
I
put all the
know.
links below. And let us know if you've got any questions. Pop those in the comments below. Tag me and Sharan, and she can answer those.
I would love to.
So
Thank you for having me.
thank you so much. Awesome. And remember, follow your intuition. Your dreams are now in fruition.